And that was my first tenant for 3 months. And I was like, holy smokes, this is mind blowing.
If you're investing,
Investors will.
The podcast for all things real estate investing.
So welcome back to another episode of Investor One-on-One. Today's guest is an active first responder and former NYPD officer who served for over 5 years. He currently owns and manages a real estate portfolio valued at over $3.5 million, has raised nearly $1 million in private capital, and is generating more than $20,000 per month in rental income. His mission is to help other first responders and W-2 workers learn how to invest in real estate through creative finance while understand the powerful tax benefits that come with owning real assets. So welcome to the show, Joelvy De La Cruz.
So yeah, let's just start off, man. Before you got into real estate, you're a full-time police officer. How did you get into the police world, and how did you eventually get into the real estate world?
So ever since I was a little kid, I always said I either wanted to be like a baseball player or like a police officer. So it was one or the other. And obviously baseball wasn't I wasn't cut out to make it to the big leagues. I played in college and everything, but I then went into studying criminal justice and got into the force back in 2016.
Awesome, man. And how did you get into real estate?
I was working a lot and I saw a lot of my coworkers, working hard, doing a lot of overtime, patching up their pension. And when I saw that, I was also working hard and doing a lot of overtime myself. And kind of one day I kind of was just like super burnt out, tired and everything like that. And when I came home, I started scrolling. Me and my wife were at the time looking for our primary house or just about to close on our primary house. And I came across three individuals that are well known in the real estate game right now on like ads through Instagram. And it was Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, and Pace Morby. And as I was scrolling, I listened to what Pace Morby said and I was like, this doesn't make sense. Let me keep scrolling. I listened to Robert Kiyosaki and I was like, I don't really know. It doesn't really make sense. And then obviously Grant Cardone being like one of the best salesmen out there and knows how to, convince people. He obviously said something and I was like, let me check this out. So I listened to what he said. I joined one of his online programs. And, the first thing it said is like, you need to buy a 300 unit apartment complex for your first deal. And I was like, whoa, this is not for me. I liked the idea of everything that real estate provided. So I kind of fell back on what he was saying and I went back towards Robert Kiyosaki, read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, started reading up all the other books in his series with Ken McElmore and everything like that. And I started getting into real estate. I paid for a mentorship, a local mentorship. And then after that mentorship, right around 2022, 2023, as interest rates were going up, traditional real estate wasn't panning out. I was getting outbidded on every single deal. And that's when I started listening to what Pace Morby said and learned creative finance, learned what seller finance was and implemented it. And it was the best thing I've ever done and learned
That's
getting into
awesome.
creative.
That's awesome, man. So today you're still a full-time police officer, right?
I am still full-time active duty. Yes.
And are you full on into real estate as well?
Yes. So currently me and my wife, so my wife actually, she lucky enough because of the real estate that we own now, she was in the NYPD and now she has been able to retire early and she's now at home with the kids, homeschooling and, taking care of the property management, making sure that the real estate keeps going while I'm at work and she's helping out on that aspect. But right now we currently have a rental portfolio of just about 3.5 million. And I've been lucky enough because of some of my coworkers and the sub two community, the Pace Morby community, I've been able to raise just about $1 million in private capital to
That's
fund
awesome. That's awesome, man. Wow. Kudos to you for that. Can you tell us more about your first deal and how you scaled up to this 3.5 million portfolio while being a full-time cop, while being a parent? You're really keeping yourself busy, man, and doing the most, which is amazing.
Yeah, yes. Back to when I did the mentorship, it took me about 2 years to actually get that first deal. I was constantly putting in offers, getting outbidded. And then as interest rates were going up, there was a tired landlord who had their property up on the market. It was a property that was up on the market for 6 months. And I reached out and I pretty much told the seller, I said, listen, I'll give you your full asking price or more if you allow me to make payments to to them. And they were already an established landlord with a multi-million dollar portfolio, so they understood the benefits of owner finance. And first, they wanted to give me like a 6% interest rate, and I was able to tell them no. So as we kept on negotiating, going back and forth for months and months, I kept on following up. I never gave up on that first deal. I never gave up, kept on following up, and little by little, that owner kept on lowering the interest rates until we got to 2% interest rates, when in 2023 interest rates were close to 7, 8%, maybe even 9%. So I was very fortunate enough to get a single family house. I paid $50,000 over asking. And some people may say, wait, what are you doing? Why would you pay over asking? I was able to negotiate owner finance, 10% down payment, 2% interest rate. And my payment at the time was $953 to the seller. You add in some taxes and insurance. And my first ever tenant for that first house was an insurance company that came in and paid me $5,000 a month. So
What?
that was my first experience, ever being a landlord, ever property managing, ever anything. And that was my first tenant for 3 months. And I was like, holy smokes, this is mind blowing.
That's insane. That's
Yeah,
insane. Especially
that
for
was
first, for your first step into real estate, man. Most people don't really experience that. So that's awesome that you got to start that way and scale that today. In your opinion, today, what tools or what kind of people on your team helped you scale the way you guys did?
definitely number one is obviously my wife. She's definitely helped the most. She's been there by my side the whole entire time, and definitely taking that leap of faith of leaving full time career essentially with pension benefits and everything like that to you know being a supportive partner, and being taking care of our kids and also doing the property management at home, which a lot of people don't know, that allowed us to open up a lot of doors. So, what I mean by that is by her leaving her full time job, we were now able, as real estate investor, qualify her as a real estate professional, and that unlocks so many tax benefits for us to write off pretty much endless amount of income. So I can go out there, build up a rental portfolio, or make as much money on my active W-2 side, and we can now write off an unlimited amount of income that we make and get the full amount of federal or state income taxes that we paid throughout the year as a refund check back. So that right there was a game changer for us. And on top of that, our private money lenders that come from, the sub-2 community and my coworkers as well. That first deal that we did, that 10% that seller wanted, that actually was another first responder that was referred to me, and they were able to get a double-digit return on their investment. I was able to get into the deal with none of my own money. And the other first responder that connected me to them, they got a fee for connecting us to me, the investor, and, the private money lender to bring the whole deal together. So definitely I have to give shout outs to all those people as well.
That's amazing, man. So today you would say you get your money through private money, and are you finding your deals? Where are you getting your deals from these days? And are you just investing in New York, or are you investing outside as well?
So those deals, the deals that I've been getting are in Connecticut.
Okay.
And the reason why I kind of stayed away from the New York market is the landlord tenant laws. Obviously, I was in the streets, still in the streets, and we go to 911 calls when it comes to landlord tenants. And it's not that favorable here in the state of New York. But what's right next to us, what's in my backyard, is Connecticut, where the landlord tenant laws are better than New York. They're not the best out there, but they're better than New York, which allowed me to still invest close enough where I can see it, touch it, feel it. And also my private money lenders, they can feel comfortable enough to go out there, check out the stuff that I'm doing, and be comfortable enough to be that lender. And where I'm getting my deals from my right now, funny enough, that one investor, that one tired landlord that provided me that first initial investment, he has been the one person that completely changed my family's trajectory forever, because that one tired landlord has been selling me nonstop rental properties from his portfolio. And we've built kind of a relationship now where when he's interested in selling a property, I'm his number one guy where he goes to, and we can negotiate a very good deal where whether it's owner finance, whether it's like subject to, or whether I could buy it all cash, renovate it, rent it out, and then refinance and pull the money back out.
And for all the investors that are watching this right now, I know you're really into creative financing, sub to all that. Why is that the move for 2026?
I honestly think it's the move for 2026 because it's something where if you are able to strike a good deal with a seller, you can definitely be able to move quicker. You can definitely close faster. We're not, there's you can definitely do an inspection, but you can waive inspection. You can, waive appraisals. You're not dealing with a bank. You're not, showing, your tax returns, your W-2 pay stubs to qualify. This is a straight up transaction with the seller, and once you guys agree on terms, you can move as fast as the title search come back. And that's why I feel like it's a great strategy in 2026.
That's awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And you've done so much in the industry, and I feel like, you're just getting started at the same time. So I'm looking forward to seeing you grow and doing more and more and inspiring more people. But if you had to start today from scratch, but nothing but your wisdom, how would you from zero?
From zero, I think the number one thing is getting in the right room. Getting in the right room has definitely helped me out tremendously. And I went from doing a mentorship that gave me the foundation that I needed to start building. But when I got into the right room, which was the creative finance world, that allowed me to get feedback from leaders in that community that got me to understand how to underwrite, understand how to deal structure. That room right there, getting into the right room is the number one thing you can do right now to be able to get the help that you need and go out there and take action, because you can get as much information as you learn and as much information as you can obtain. But if you don't go out there and take that action, implement those things that you learn, then that information is useless.
And I'm kind of curious about you being a cop, man. First of all, do you see any similarities between the real estate world and the police world? And what are some pros and cons of being a cop these days? And if you can tell us a crazy story that's happened to you, we'd love that as well.
I'll start off with the comparison for sure.
Yeah.
Talking to people is absolutely a must in law enforcement. Being able to go into an environment and dissect the situation and be able to either de-escalate the situation with what you say is important, and being able to communicate. Translating that into real estate, whenever you go out there and you cold call, whenever you go out there and door knock, whenever you go out there and speak to a lot of the people that we come across, which are sellers that are in a distressed situation, being able to have those communication skills are huge, because now you can ease them up a little bit, you can relate to them a little bit, and that's the exact same things that I do when I'm out there in the streets. Communicating, relating to someone, and getting in the same page so you guys can get to the same objective and the same goal. So I was just gonna say one of the craziest stories that come to my mind, and it also relates to being here as a real estate investor as well, was that one day I was going to a call, and it happened to be a landlord tenant situation, um where we show up to the scene, and it pretty much it was a dispute because the tenant wasn't paying. The landlord wanted them out. Obviously in New York, it's very, very tough. You have to go through the eviction process and everything like that. But when we got to the scene, it's a single family house, and I look up at the second floor, and through one of the just the regular like windows in the second floor, I see a full blown couch halfway out the window. So I see a full blown couch halfway out the window. I don't know if it's the landlord trying to throw the couch out the window, or I don't know if it's the tenant trying to fit the couch back into the house. But it was a chaotic scene. Obviously, the landlord wanted the person out, the tenant, wanted to stay in the house. And funny enough, I remember to this day when I went to that call, and that was when I was, fairly new into my law enforcement career, and I didn't do any real estate. I wasn't into real estate at all. I didn't know anything. I told myself I would never, ever, ever be a landlord. I actually said that.
That's awesome, man. And Jovi, man, every successful entrepreneur goes through failures. Your first deal went amazing, but along the way you had to go through some bumps. What would you say was your biggest failure or struggle in your career, and what has that taught you as an entrepreneur and investor?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that I've made right now, which I would have to say something that comes to the top of my head, is understanding who you can trust. Because in every field, the police world, teachers, any profession you look at, including real estate, definitely gets iffy and there could be some shady characters out there. So the number one thing that I wish I knew back then was knowing who to trust and who to go to be able to help me out along the process. And sure enough, there's a lot of situations that we see in the real estate world where people can get taken advantage of. And in my experience, I remember trusting someone when I was starting off with a deal that I was working super, super hard for. And I felt like this was going to be that. I felt like that was going to be my first deal. I trusted someone and they kind of went behind my back and took the deal from me. And there's small examples like that and other huge examples in real estate where people can take advantage. So 100%, I would say my learning lesson was knowing who to trust, knowing who to go to, and making sure you get all the information, all the education first before you go out there and you know take that leap of faith and take those actions.
And how would you say you could trust people in today's very digital world?
I say definitely verification. You gotta be able to verify. You gotta be able to. It's easy. There's public information out there. So if people say they own real estate, look up their LLCs, look up their HUD statements, see exactly what they're doing. See if someone comes to me and they say, "Hey, can I see your HUD statements and see if it says seller finance, what the amount is, the sell point, the date that it sell." I can easily provide that. I may block out my LLC name, but I can easily provide HUD statements. You can easily look up the addresses and see, who owns that house, so that LLC name. You can go to opencorporate.com and for free you can look up who are the registered people under that LLC. So definitely making sure you verify people before you go in and trust them, and knowing the documents. A lot of people go out there and at face value they're private money lenders and they say, "Oh, just with a promissory note that they're secured." A promissory note on its own is it's not secured. You need a mortgage deed attached to that property. So when that property is sold, and it's obviously recorded, when that property is sold, you can actually make sure that the title company knows that you need to get paid out for your money. So I hear a lot of horror stories, even people that I know personally, where they've lent money out, they only get a promissory note, and then they get burned, or that investor doesn't pay back. And now you have to go out and try and sue them and things like that. So definitely take your time, verify, ask those people that you're going to invest with, ask them for proof. And if someone is not willing to give you that proof, then something is up. And again, I say that because I also come from a career where people call 911 because something bad happens. So we get a lot of 911 calls as well where things negatively happen to people. And I've heard horror stories as well where people get burned, people are looking for their money, things like that. Having someone that you can trust in the game of real estate is important, and being able to verify them and ask them questions and having that person actually provide proof is very important.
Couldn't agree more, man. And for other investors that are watching this right now, do you have a piece of advice, a quote, a phrase, any type of resource that you recommend them reading or absorbing to kind of grow this year and keep building in the industry?
Funny enough, just today, I saw a clip of the Alex Hormozy, which has been a huge person that I read into, and then Tony Robinson. They were doing a podcast together. Tony Robinson was kind of talking to Alex Hormozy about what truly is fulfilling in life. Alex Hormozy and both Robinson are huge, and they are very successful, but pretty much just having like willpower and hard work can take you to a lot of great places. But being able to fulfill something else like giving back, serving others, and sharing knowledge, which I'm huge on now, giving back to my community, giving back to my coworkers, giving back to people that want to learn about this. I'm huge on that, and that is more fulfilling than reaching a number where you wanted to reach, or working hard, putting your head down, and then getting somewhere and not feeling that inner fulfillment that comes from the heart. So that was something that I just heard today, and I really recommend everybody to go watch that podcast and listen to that.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna check it out after this as well. Following
Absolutely.
up on that, man, what's next for you, you would say, for your business and for real estate and for your police career, and what's next for you and the future for you and your family, your personal life, anything you can share with that?
Definitely, number one is continuing to be family oriented with me and my wife, our kids, growing our family, and continuing to follow God as well, continuing to worship and do those things. And for our business as well, is we want to be able to give back from what I've learned, from the good and the bad. So what I'm actually doing is I want to be able to set up like a Zoom where I invite all first responders, W-2 workers, anybody that wants to save money, learn how to save money on taxes with rental property. I want to invite them to a live Zoom that I'm doing in February. So I want to make sure that I get the word out there, invite everybody, and it's completely free. It's completely free. A Zoom where I'm going to go out there and explain exactly how I've been able to achieve what I've been able to do, and I want people to jump in if they can, ask questions. I'll have a live Q&A at the end, and definitely see if I'm able to help them out with their real estate journey
Perfect,
as
man.
well.
Looking forward for that. Jovi, this has been powerful, man. Love this conversation. For anyone that's watching this, that want to follow your journey, learn more from you, and join this call in February, where's the best place to connect?
So definitely, if you have Instagram, reach out at cops2, the number 2, cash flow. And then, if let me see what else. If you don't have Instagram, maybe you have email, cops the number 2, cashflow at gmail.com. Reach out and try and attend. If you can make it, try and make it. It's gonna be huge. I'm gonna try and give back and see if I can help people out get started.
Awesome, Jovi. Thank you so much again, man. Not just for, you know, being here today, but also for your service in real estate and showing us what's possible in this industry. And if this conversation gave anyone here value, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this today. See you on the next episode. Thank you, Jovi.